Mr. Asfandyar Farrukh, back on stage, co-founder of CAP, having a chat with Mr. Hassaan Khan, founder of Mashion and M by Mahira. Welcome.
Assalamualaikum. मेरा नाम असफंदिया फ़ारूक है as part of the Chainstore Association of Pakistan. Thank you for being here. Thank you for staying also. It's been a bit, well, the day is getting a bit long, but I think we're hanging in there, which is great. So today we wanted to have a conversation, a special conversation with Hassaan Khan here. And I think he'll introduce himself shortly, but I'd like to just give you a bit of background. So Hassaan Khan and Mahira Khan together have, I think if I'm not wrong, in 2018 you started a community, an online community, women-focused online community for entertainment, fashion, and generally from a community perspective called Mashion. And that I think has been a very interesting journey. I think we'll talk to Hassaan about it. And I think they've done it together. And in addition to that, they also, and we'll touch upon this, is they went out and started these Mashion bazaars also for women entrepreneurs, which is also interesting. Also another form of retail. And recently, I believe, along with Mahira Khan, you guys have launched M by Mahira, which is a brand in itself as well. And I think it's sort of got its own vision, which we'll talk about. So, I'd like, Hassaan, if you could just sort of talk to us a bit about yourself and what you guys thought of and how did you come up with this idea and sort of what was the initial sort of journey like?
Okay. All right. Thank you for having me, firstly. So I think when it came to Mashion's journey, I think when we were looking at, me and Mahira, we're looking at the digital media landscape. I think what we saw is that, we have traditional news channels, they have their websites, and we have these Instagram pages which primarily serve as like putting up pictures. But we never really saw a platform which was really, catering to women in terms of content, in terms of discovery, whether it's discovery of products or discovery of health stuff or topics. So the idea really started from there, and I think there was a big emphasis on building a community and having a very user-centric approach to it. And I think, fast forward like 4 or 5 years later, I think we've built this community which is very engaged, and I think the monetization part has now come into play because we built a community first. It wasn't that we built a product first. We built the community first, and now we are actually looking at multiple ways of monetizing it because the community trusts you. There's a lot of trust factor. So I think the approach was that, we really talk to them, ask them what they're looking for, whether it's content, whether it's like them messaging us about, oh, where did you get this product from? Where can you get this product? So we were very engaged from the beginning. And I think that really led us to start the offline model, which was Mashion Bazaar. So it was taking all of the stuff we're doing online, whether it's fashion content or beauty content, and making a bazaar out of it where small vendors who we're already working with, who we're already promoting on our digital platforms, can actually come into a real space. We obviously involve big corporates and sponsors, and obviously Mahira. And we ended up with about 20,000 people in a 2-day event. And it was remarkable in the way that these small businesses were doing, killer sales. Because a lot of people were coming with that intention of buying also. So it wasn't like, a mall type experience, but people were coming, they wanted to eat, they wanted to chill, and they wanted to engage in the multiple things that we had there.
Right. No, interesting. So I think the journey has been interesting, and I think as you mentioned, you went online, you built the community, then you went offline, and sort of now also we want to talk about a bit of the brand sort of angle that you've taken. But before that, I mean, one thing that I think, and I think everybody knows, is that Mahira herself is a brand in herself, right? Is a celebrity. So that's one interesting model where you have a celebrity who is building. I'm sure there are sort of commercial angles to it of what a celebrity can do, but also what you guys did together was build a community first. So I wanted to understand, and then of course leveraging her persona, her I guess fame. So I wanted to understand sort of how did that maybe help, but also something that maybe I think when we talked offline, you also were very cautious about sort of what the community would stand for or what your values would be. So if you could share both the challenges or sort of the help that you got from this and sort of what you guys, how you thought of, yeah, taking the Mahira persona along with this and also any challenges you faced, that would be interesting.
Yeah, so I think it's interesting you say that because there is, there's pitfalls to it too. Because I mean, I think as fast as we grew, because there was someone like Mahira behind the platform, we also had limitations in terms of a lot of things. And I think the biggest learning was, for me at least, was about whether you're building a brand and it has a celebrity or it doesn't. I think in today's day and age, if you're not authentic, if you don't come off as authentic when you're when someone's looking at your Instagram or anything, you have very little chance of success because the Gen Zs, they're very smart when it comes to, okay, even in this day and age, what's happening around the world, they're very easy to call out, ki, acha, you doing this, but then you also do this. So where is your value system, right? And as soon as they see that, they kind of want to walk away. So for us, I think it was very important that whether it was Mashion, we initially it was an advertising model. So we used to get approached by big brands. Some of them were skin. I don't know how to say it. Yeah, beauty brands, but it was skin whiteness.
Okay, fair and lovely type.
Exactly. And I think, for us, that was a huge no-go because Mahira's never done it herself. And then for us, it was like, how can we promote that when we're building a platform for women? So we had to kind of stick to those things throughout. And because you can't have content about, oh, how these brands are problematic, and then one day later you're posting an ad about them. So I think that was a big learning. And when it came to doing the bazaars, obviously, we had sponsors such as Sapphire for the last bazaar that was in Karachi. So we had no issue with Sapphire being there because they're a huge fashion brand. They want market awareness. But it was an issue for us that they can't sell product there. Because for them to be selling product there while there's a small, 10 by 10 shop trying to do the same product, it kind of defeats the purpose. So we had to have that conversation with Sapphire and be like, look, you're here and you're here to actually support these small businesses. It's okay for you to market your product just like 7up is doing or Bank Al Habib is doing. But for you to be standing there and selling a direct competitor to a small business, it defeats the purpose. So we had to make those calls. We had to kind of convince them, but it happened. They understood, and that's how we're doing it.
Great. So just a little about Mashion Bazaar. So you mentioned you from your community that you've built, you took the people, women entrepreneurs or small businesses were able to then set up stalls at your Mashion Bazaar, right? That was the idea.
Yeah, the idea was to actually just get these vendors, because most of these vendors are people who are running Instagram pages. They don't even have websites. So most of them have just Instagram pages. They take orders through their DMs. So the idea was to kind of take them one step forward to digitizing, right? So even when it came to our banking partners, which is Bank Al Habib, they kind of provided the POS machines to all of these vendors. And in the end, actually, it was we also got data back from all of these vendors in terms of sales and stuff. So the next step forward for us is to possibly look into, starting a portal for these small businesses, small businesses.
Right. So jumping ahead to, I recently launched, I saw you guys launched M by Mahira. Can you tell us a bit about that? What's the sort of the game plan and sort of what are the ideas behind it and how you want to take it forward?
Oh, can I be honest? So I think with M by Mahira, I think with Mahira's, we've always wanted to start a brand for her. And I think the idea is, again, to really be authentic. And I think it was always meant to be a beauty brand. But because Mahira's, always being approached by beauty brands, there's always it's a very tough time for us to kind of, because it comes in direct, it's like contractually she can't do it.
Competition.
Yeah.
It becomes competition, right?
Yeah. So for a long time, whether it's Unilever or whether it was L'Oreal, it was always a problem for us to actually go into that space. So the way we did this was, we were like, okay, you know what, if we can't really do this for the next few years, we can at least start going into the fashion and maybe fragrance space. So that's why we've started here. But the big idea over there is to go into the beauty space, because that is what she's passionate about. And that's, what she's really interested in. And we've done all the research, and we've also, done multiple, layers of sampling and all of that. But unfortunately, we can't go to market.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, before I conclude, I wanted just to understand. I mean, obviously, you've built this brand and community, and now a brand around Mahira. So, I think, how would you differentiate yourselves from other brands? I mean, in terms of whether they're fashion brands which are not necessarily celebrity based, or other celebrity brands, so, or celebrity based brands, maybe if you could call them that. So, how would you say you guys have done things differently, or plan to make sure that you do things differently?
So I think the big thing over here, and I think we're kind of learning as we go, is really for us is that how do we really work on the sustainable end of fashion, right? And the more we look into it, we realize that it's there's no such thing as sustainable fashion. You can try to be as sustainable. But there is no such thing as sustainable fashion, unless you're talking about maybe thrift clothing, which is like you're selling clothes that have already been worn. So for us, really, the challenge is really kind of figuring out whether it's our packaging to make it biodegradable, whether it's the little things which we think are important for the next generation, and for us in terms of how can we make this more make it slow. I think the biggest thing that we're focusing on is making it slow. So the product might be expensive, but I think what we're trying to educate the user is that if you'll buy this, but you'll keep it for a few years, it's not going to be something you'll buy and then it'll be out within a few months. So I think that's the kind of brand we want to build, is to take it the other way around.
That's great, and I think it's a very interesting example of sort of how that journey started. And you guys, I mean, I think we've seen other people start with a brand first. I think you guys have done it differently, where you build a community and now you're going in the brand direction. So I think that's a very interesting journey for many people, and we wanted to highlight that a bit. So it's been great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Interesting conversation.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.